Welcome back to the Junkies Podcast. Today is episode number 251. I just got back from FabTech on Thursday. I had to drive back home through a hurricane to do it, but I got home safe and sound. FabTech was an awesome show. I had an action-packed week, and I got to record some episodes with some really cool people like Ivan Ilar, Jeremy Condry, Ray Ripple, Dusty James, and Justin Voss. I also had the esteemed opportunity to moderate a panel of CWIs and co-host 2 evening events. It was a great time all in all. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people in person for the first time, catch up with some old friends, meet some new ones, and I just want to thank everyone that came out to FabTech. I especially want to thank everyone that came out to the Arcs and Ales event and the collaborative meetup at Hard Rock Live. Y'all made both of those events a kick-ass time, and I just want to say thank you. Both of these were great events. I had a lot of fun meeting everyone, and I also want to thank everyone that came up to me and told me how much they enjoyed the show. It truly means a lot to me to hear the impact that this show has on the lives of people in the welding community, and it's because of all of y'all that I continue to put out new content every week, and it was truly humbling and cool to see the reach and the impact that the show has on the community as a whole. And I just want everyone out there to know that I really appreciate all of you for supporting my work. On that note, let's go ahead and kick off today's episode. While I was at FabTech, like I said, I got to meet Justin Voss in person and sit down and do a recording with him at the Weld Porn Blue Demon booth. And we discuss his previous experience in NASCAR and how that inspired him to start a YouTube channel, which then inspired him to make YouTube his full-time gig. We'll get right into the show right after a quick word from the supporters. Today's episode of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Outlaw Leather, makers of the coolest custom welding hoods in the game. They're getting ready to launch a massive sale on Black Friday. They're going to be selling their hoods for $100. You don't want to miss this sale. Even if you already have a hood, it's a good idea to have a spare. You never know when your primary hood's going to take a crap or get damaged on the job, so having a backup is a great idea. And for $100, you just can't beat it. You can save 15% right now and year-round on all Outlaw's in-stock handmade leather goods like welding hoods, bolt bags, belts, tool scabbards, and more when you use Junkies at checkout. And don't forget, you can always visit their showroom in person and see everything firsthand in their new facility in Pasadena, Texas. Take a tour of their showroom. My friends at Outlaw are going to treat you like family. Tell them the Junkie sent you. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys, makers of the finest maintenance electrodes available. Welders, if you're out in the field doing repair work, you should be running a suitcase with FluxCore wire. Why? Because time is money, and FluxCore is faster than stick and just as portable for most applications. I ran FluxCore in the field for years. Why? Faster travel speeds, more weld time, higher deposition rates, easier restarts. There's just so many different benefits to running FluxCore, but all FluxCore wires are not the same. Check out Polaris UltraFlux from Rockmount, which features 95,000 pounds of tensile strength. It allows you to run vertical up or vertical down and yields X-ray quality welds with easy slag removal. Polaris is a great option for out-of-position welds and counteracts the effects of contaminants like light rust, oil, and mill scale. Because we all know when we're welding in the field, we don't always have the cleanest base material to work with, and you can only get it so clean. Check out rockmountwelding.com for more information on Polaris, as well as other rods and wires that Rockmount has to help you get the job done right the first time, every time. And while you're on their site, you can save 10% on their grinding wheels, burr bits, blades, and abrasives when you use Junkies 10 at checkout. That's rockmountwelding.com. All right, you know what time it is. Fire up your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
You're listening to the Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
So Justin, what's up, man? How you enjoying FabTech?
It's great. It's a lot of stuff here, a lot of cool stuff to see. I've only seen a little section of it so far.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, especially here in Atlanta. It's 3 different halls.
Yeah.
But it's only 3 days too, so I guess you get 1 day per hall, but I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, that's true. It takes about a day to walk to the other halls.
Oh yeah, I was walking in this morning. I was like, dude, I got to be here like 9 to get everything set up because I got a podcast at 10.
Yeah.
And you got to get badged in and all that other stuff. It was interesting this morning. I took a lot of back alley tours, which worked out kind of in my benefit.
Yeah, I bet.
So this isn't your first FabTech, right? You did FabTech Chicago 2019?
Yeah, 2019 was my first one, so that was an experience.
That was a good show.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there too. I'm excited to get back over. I want to see all this, obviously, because this I feel like fits what I do. I don't know if it fits like what you do, but a lot of stuff here, like the equipment we use.
Oh, there's stuff in here for everybody.
Yeah, and then the other halls have your big, heavy equipment that.
Yeah, that's
I would
the
like
one
to be able to afford someday.
Yeah, I kind of wait till like Thursday, because it's like, yeah, it's all cool. It's nice to keep up with that, but I know that I don't have $4 million in the bank account to bring home, like an 800-ton frickin' press and sheet metal shear.
In 2019, the Roper Whitney guy gave me the full demo on their CNC folder, I guess they called it. And I'm just standing there the whole time knowing like I'm not buying this.
Oh, like the press brake?
Yeah, it was actually like a folder, like a
okay, like a
folder.
pan and brake?
Yeah, but it had the adjustable back, and you could see the part you were making up on the screen, and then you just set your bends, and it told you what part to put in and how far, and it pushed you back, and then it folded it. And then,
those things are freaking cool.
Yeah.
It's like origami with sheet metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, the technology that they have available now for fabrication is just insane. When did you get into the industry? Like what year?
In fabrication in general?
Yeah.
I started in NASCAR in 2005. So I graduated high school, moved to North Carolina to get into racing, and I really didn't have an exact plan. I grew up on a farm, so I did a little bit of MIG welding, and I liked just building junk together with metal. Mm-hmm. And I grew up racing. My dad raced IMCA Modifieds, and I raced go-karts, so I was always into racing. I wanted to drive until I realized that it takes a lot of money to actually make it in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So when I moved out, I didn't really know how to TIG weld or anything, but this little small ARCA team needed a fabricator and a tire carrier, which a tire carrier is on the pit crew. It's the one that would carry the tire out, aim and index it when the tire changer pulls it off. So that's what I did. And then they needed a fabricator. And then when you get into like a lot of these small shops where there's only like 5, 6 guys, no one knows how to TIG weld.
How is that possible? The entire car is TIG welded together.
Well, and like people will know, but they don't really like to. So like I just started as much as I could, like any job, any piece of aluminum, because there's a lot of aluminum. I would just start welding it and learning it. And like I would have someone who kind of knew what they were doing, get the machine set up, and then over time I eventually learned how to do that myself too. And that's kind of how I started learning how to weld.
Damn, that's the one process you really don't want to teach yourself is TIG.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of finesse to it. And I mean, it could take, the learning curve on that one is steep. Just because, like, look at the settings on the machine. Like, I like stick welding because it's like, turn it on, set my amps, I'm good to go. MIG, wire feed speed, volts, done.
Yeah.
But with TIG, man, you get into like pulse, you get into AC balance and frequency and like all this new technology that they're coming out. Fronius, you just did that video the other day with the Fronius where it plays music as you're playing. I was like, that's freaking badass because like now I don't need my headphones. I can just fire up the TIG machine and, start listening.
Well, I feel like fortunately when I started, we didn't have all those machines, so it was just the older like
pretty simple.
Syncrowave. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of knobs that you could mess with. So you got the basics, and then now knowing how to weld, then you can look at the new machines and realize what everything does. But I feel like someone getting into it, these new machines might intimidate you a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean especially with all the buttons and knobs on the front, it can be very intimidating up front just because it's like jumping into a cockpit of an airplane.
Yeah.
There's a lot of switches and dials and buttons and like what's this one do?
Yeah, and some of the new Fronius machines, their industrial line has like a touch screen and
like a touch screen.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a great idea for a fab shop. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, then they get to sell you a new screen, I guess.
Yeah, because like I always get grease on my gloves and shit. Just smeared screen and everything.
Yeah, I think some part of the menu is not accessible without touching it too, so it has to.
Oh damn!
I wonder
if is it like touch sensitive with a glove?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the pressure kind, so you push. You know,
Oh, that's not
it's
too
not
bad.
like an iPhone.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be over there at their booth tomorrow and check all that stuff out. I'm interested. They come out with some like really innovative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing a demo for them. That's why I went up to their offices 2 weeks ago, I think, and learned about their dynamic wire, which is dynamic TIG wire, which is like cold wire.
Okay, I was wondering because I think I seen the video. I think Dabs
Yeah.
did something with them too.
Yep.
I was wondering if the wire coming out was a hot wire, or if it was a cold wire.
Yeah, it's a cold wire, and it has, between software and a little piece of hardware, it can sense if it's touching puddle or not, and it'll actually like back itself off.
Oh, no kidding.
Where it just won't keep feeding the puddle. Like, so you can almost stop moving, and it won't. It'll build up the puddle a little bit, but not much.
Okay.
Because like we turned it off, and I never used cold wire before either. So like I tried it just on
It's
cold
weird,
wire, and it's
there's
like that
a
you
lot
have
of
to
settings.
keep up with.
Yeah, there's a lot of settings to get in, and if
Yeah.
things aren't flowing right or whatever, it's all over. We had one over at weld.com we just tried messing around with. Manca was actually pretty good with it, like getting it dialed in and everything, but it was a very finicky machine. I can't remember who makes it, but it's
Yeah.
the first time I'd actually seen like a wire-fed TIG. And then like I know now they have tip TIGs here. They've got a hot wire that comes in, but that wire's kind of agitated on the inside, so where the drive rolls are, it agitates that wire, which does something like with, feeding into the puddle, and I don't understand all I know
Yeah.
about it, but it'll make you look like a damn rock star on, open root pipes.
Yeah. That's why when I see all that stuff, I'm like, they're just going after the owners so they can hire anybody. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, I think they're tapped into like SpaceX and doing some NASA
Yeah.
stuff and Blue Origin, so I mean, it's a pretty neat setup.
Yeah, and especially if you need very, very repeatable stuff, like I like to TIG weld by hand because I think of it like art,
Oh, it definitely is.
I want it to look nice, but like some of these places, like I'm sure SpaceX, probably don't care how much it looks. They just want it to be 100% solid.
Yeah, X-ray quality and all that.
Yeah.
I just did. I had a field trip last week with my daughter to Kennedy Space Center, and like they got one of the rockets suspended in the building, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, them welds look like shit.
Yeah.
But it'll hold.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of one of the early shuttles that they were building. It looked like that. Like I was like, who is welding this?
Yeah. You're going to put people in there and then like send them off the planet
Yeah.
in that and hope that it comes back?
And
But I mean, they do a lot of testing and all that. So I mean, they know
Yeah.
it works, and the alloys that they're working with aren't necessarily. There's just some materials you can't get like a good-looking weld on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like your Inconels and Hastelloys and all that stuff. It's like kind of like welding with mud. You get that high nickel content in some of the stuff, and it's like Play-Doh.
Yeah, we were for a while making our trailing arms and racing out of Domex, which is kind of like a chromoly, I think. It's like a spring steel almost, and we had to weld it with I think 100 rod, and I feel like that welded terrible too.
Really?
It just doesn't flow right. You can't make it look nice, but they don't care. They just wanted it to be nice. But I would say in general, racing's like the opposite of everything else. Like they want all the fabrication to look really, really nice, and they don't do any really X-ray testing until maybe after the race to see if stuff's cracked and if it needs to be like mileage
You might
out.
want to check that before,
But they don't
and
do.
after.
It's opposite of how you would think it would be. They're
Yeah.
all about looks, and if it breaks, you might be in trouble. But if it doesn't break, it's fine.
Damn. So a lot of their stuff's chromoly, right? So would you weld that up with like ADS-D2?
No, the whole chassis is mild steel. I don't think it's allowed to be chromoly.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like they'll have like a 060 thickness rule. So they'll take every piece of tubing and grind it down to make sure it's exactly 060. So you're not have anything that's 062, which is extra weight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it is nice. I'd say it's an ideal situation for fabrication because everything you do is brand new and it's all clean metal, and even the repairs are clean, and stuff doesn't get raced very much before it's thrown out. So you're constantly building new cars.
Damn. Like a nice clean environment.
Yeah, it's what I imagine like hot rod shops are kind of like.
I imagine you get pretty spoiled working in that environment.
Yeah. Like, most of my career, like I never considered myself a welder because I was considered like a fabricator, and welding was part of that. Towards the end, I was heavily just welding because I was doing suspension parts and stuff. But I always, compared to what some other people do, like I was in an air conditioning room welding at a table.
Oh yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
That's I'm used to working in the shop with like open the bay door on this side and open the other bay door on that side, set up a fan, get a nice cross breeze. Everything's covered in frickin' dust and grinding dust and tripping over shit all day.
Yeah.
It's different how it's cool to see how like different shops operate, especially you get like in a NASCAR setting or NHRA, like, some of these floors you could eat off, just walking through. I mean, it's like nice clean area, like surgical almost.
Yeah, I think NHRA is really similar, but their chassis and frames are chromoly, I think.
Okay.
That'd be the biggest difference. But even like what we welded with, I worked at multiple teams that most teams ended up MIG welding their chassis. I don't know if it's because of like heat distribution, and how much it draws. It's probably a little bit better with MIG welding because it's faster. But some places I worked at TIG welded them, and we even used, at the time it was called super missile rod, which I think is like 312 stainless on a.
I was going to ask you about that because you used that in one of your episodes.
Yeah, that's what everybody used it on a mild steel chassis. They'd use 312 or super missile rod.
And I thought it was weird. I was like, what the hell? Where do you come up with a name like super missile?
Everybody thinks I'm weird.
But I never heard of 312 before. Like, I'm familiar with like 308, 309, 316.
Yeah.
Never used 312 at all.
Well, when I started getting stuff from Blue Demon, they were sending me rod, and same thing. Like, I was like, I want 312. And he's like, why? I'm like, I don't know.
Why? I got this 316. That's not what I want. I want super missile rod.
I think it's designed for welding dissimilar metals together, so it's a good, like, all-around.
Okay.
And it never really had a problem breaking. Like, once in a while, you'd get, or something would break, or you'd get a new engineer in, and then they look at the book, and they're like, no, you should be welding this and this and this. And it's like, dude, we've been doing this for years, and it's fine.
Yeah, been doing it for 20 years. That's everybody's go-to.
Yeah.
So now, when did you start getting into, like, the YouTube aspect and showing people how to fabricate?
So, like, it was like around 2016, I was carrying tires on the 3-cup car, and I hurt my hip and had to have hip surgery. So after that, they pulled me off and put me, like, down a level. And that was I started watching, like, Casey Neistat. They were doing, like, the vlogging and stuff. It was kind of big back then. So I was like, oh, I should do that around NASCAR, like, I'll take it to the track. I'm not a super outgoing guy. Like, I should be making a video here at FabTech, but it, like, really bothers me to be waving a camera around. But I tried doing it. It kind of got me out of my comfort zone, and it helped me learn video editing, and I was trying to do these NASCAR vlogs. And well, then I got moved back up to a cup car, and it just felt like it was a distraction for me. It's like when I was, trying to worry about doing pit stops, and then I'm trying to make these videos. So
that's got to be pretty distracting.
Yeah. So I felt like I shouldn't keep doing those. So I wanted to keep the channel going, and I was still in the shop at the time, I think. And I made just a box, aluminum box that held shop rags, and filmed it on my lunch hour and uploaded that video. And it did better than all my previous NASCAR vlogs. And it had welding and stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And then I did another one that was kind of like this little welding project, and that one did better. And I was like, okay, well,
there's something to this.
I guess I'm going to do welding on YouTube now, yeah. But at the time, I was kind of trying to back off just because I was kind of burnt out from welding and stuff. But making the videos has kind of reinvigorated me, and it's fun. I can make whatever project I want because I can make a video around it, so I get to build a lot of cool stuff and have a reason to, rather than, if you build something at your house, it's cool, but you can't make any money off of it unless you want to sell it.
Yeah.
But videos allows you to, there is a way to, like,
monetize stuff that you need to build for yourself around the shop.
Monetize building random crap, yeah.
Now, I watched the video that you did the other day with the that little cantilever dolly for the table.
Yeah.
And then you're able to, like, weld those little nipples on, different pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
And then move it around the shop. Which, I don't know how big your shop is, but that's kind of how mine's set up. Like, I want to have everything on wheels or light enough to where I can reconfigure the shop to do what it is I need to get done. Because everything that I do, like, it changes, from one job to the next.
Yeah, and it's nice because you can have just 2 solid non-caster wheels on one side and then 2 legs on the other side. And then when you set it down, it feels super stable. Where if you just have like 4 casters or 2 casters, you lock them, you still always feel that, like,
there's a little bit of give.
Play.
Yeah.
And I never liked that. I like 4 legs, but I don't have a forklift to move all my stuff around, so it needs to be on wheels. And
you said how heavy was that 3/4? I think it's 3/4 inch plate that sits on top of that.
Yeah, I think it might be 1 inch, and it's like 26 by 26.
Damn.
So I don't know what the math comes out.
It's like 90-something pounds. I think
it's a little over 100.
Steel's like 40.9 per square inch or per square foot.
Yeah.
1 inch thick.
Yeah. So I built that little cart to where I can roll it over to my big welding table if I want, and I can shove it off, and then I can shove it back onto the cart. Yeah, just because I was going to smash my fingers trying to carry that piece of plate around.
Jeez. So now how do you figure out like what you're going to come up with for as far as like content? Do you sit down and kind of map out a few episodes and then kind of work through that process of how you're going to, put it all together?
I would say that's one of the hardest parts because YouTube is you have to get people to click the video.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest part. So you don't want to clickbait them, but you have to draw them in. So you have to like essentially clickbait, but then you have to fulfill the promise that you put.
Otherwise they quit tuning in. That was something we figured out at weld.com. We'd make clickbaity titles, but you got to deliver on the clickbait because there's a lot of people that they'll put a title up and you watch the whole 7-minute video and you're like, fuck, you never really touched on the topic you said you were going to, discuss in the video.
Yeah, or they'll drop off too fast, know, and that hurts your retention, and then YouTube doesn't want to recommend the videos anymore. So coming up with that, I've done a couple like rocket stove videos that have done really well, and the only reason I did them is because I was searching through videos and I found these rocket stove videos that were poorly made with lots of views, and I'm like, well, I can build a rocket stove, and those videos have done good. Now I'm currently working on, before I left the race shop, I got a rear end that raced at Daytona and it was wrecked. So I'm taking that and I'm going to turn it into like a little stove, put it upright and make the, where the pumpkin goes, there'll be like the firebox and like we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that'd be neat.
But yeah, ideas like that. I have bigger ideas, but if you're going to build a project like that will take this long, it's going to take at least 4 times as long to video it.
Yeah.
And then that's not even just editing. So like these bigger projects, like I want to build a big material rack that would probably take me a week without videoing. And then now if I'm going to make a video about it, that's like 4 weeks. So it's like I'm going to go a month with one video. So
we kind of figured it out. It's like it's usually 2 to 3 times longer to film it than it actually takes to do it because a lot of things you got to do twice too because different camera angles, like you're talking about something and doing it. But then, we want to make sure that you show the viewer exactly what you're doing with your hands. Because, a lot of people that are on YouTube, they're obviously visual learners. That's why they're tuning in to see somebody do it.
Yeah. And I film everything myself. So while I'm working, I'm thinking about what I'm doing on the project. Because I'm kind of making up the projects as I go. I'll have a plan in my head, but not exactly. So, when you're building something, you're kind of working through it in your head. But then I'm also videoing it and thinking about the camera angles, and I don't want to hold one too long. So then I'm stopping, moving the camera, finishing, moving the camera. So if I had someone that could run the camera, it would help.
And you run everything off one single camera?
Right now, I have multiple cameras, but I usually just use one, I've tried. Sometimes when I do an arc shot and I don't want to fake it, like film myself welding, stop, and then get the arc shot, and then I'll piece those together like it's the same weld, but it's really like 2 times welding something else. I'll use 2 cameras, but even that, then you got 2 cameras, you have to sync and
twice
post.
The editing.
Yeah. Everything. There's trade-offs to everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, a lot more than people think. They're like, oh yeah, you can just put up a video and just make a bunch of money. No, there's a lot of work that goes into a lot of time and effort, like planning, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Planning is the hardest part. Coming up with content. What is it? How do you anticipate what somebody wants to see?
Well, and I've gone all over on what kind of videos I want to make, and there's a lot of other good YouTubers who do really well educational videos, and I will do some stuff, but not a lot because of how I started. I never went to school, so I taught myself. I've been doing it a long time, so I can do it. But when people start talking about the technical stuff, I don't know what any of the certifications mean. And then YouTube's actually helped me learn a lot about the technical side because if I explain something, I need to know it. So I'm sitting there researching, I did an AC balance video and I had to I did visuals and
I saw that was really good.
Yeah, and that one took me a little bit because I want to make sure everything I'm saying is correct, because otherwise someone's going to say something.
Yeah, that and you got all the effects that were going on in there.
Yeah.
You had the sine wave and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching that one before I come up here. I think the coolest video, one of my favorite videos that you've done is the 10 tips in 10 minutes.
Okay,
because I like that because it's a lot of content packed in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's all relevant. If you're getting into fabrication, here's some of the stuff that you can do. Here's some of the tricks that you want to know how to do. Here's how you find the center of a circle.
Yep.
Just little tricks like that. That it's if you're in the shop, you're scratching your head damn, how the hell do I figure this out? Those super quick to the point.
Yeah. I've made 2 of those, and I'm about out of all my tips. Because they were all, up until this point, stuff I learned, you know, that or people taught me. So I didn't come up with them all. But now it's like I would have to find some
new tips.
Make more of
Gotta go to some classes.
Yeah, because they're little tricks. And like how I did one where I was talking about burning an inch on a tape measure.
Yep.
And I even mentioned that I know the end plays to make up for the tape measure. But sometimes it wears out and it's not as precise when you're metalworking. But so many comments teaching me that it moves for a reason. I'm like, I understand.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I seen the disclaimer in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's usually, like, and the funny thing is, like, construction fabrication, you're either off a foot or an inch.
Yeah.
Because that somebody burned it and they didn't do the math before they went to go cut it, put it in the saw.
I've junked a lot of parts.
Yeah, I've screwed up a lot of stuff that way, burning an inch. But, like, you got to get into a habit of it. Yep. And then all of a sudden you forget and you're like, shit, why is this part an inch too long? Oh, yeah, I didn't burn an inch this time.
Someone should make a tape measure that you could still hook, but 0 starts 1 inch from the end.
Yeah.
So you never hook it and measure.
But then you got an inch sticking out of your tape measure.
Yeah, and if you're on a 4x8 piece of metal and you just want to cut it off, that'd be a pain in the butt too.
Yeah, that would.
You'd have to burn the inch the other way then.
So now, what do you have planned for, like, right now as far as, like, you know, content that's coming out on your channel?
I'm trying to just get caught up. Like, I want to finish that project. I work with Fronius right now and Everlast, so I'm just want to get some videos out for both of those machines. Everlast has sent some machines that just to go over, like, combo units and stuff like that. I don't do really, like, product reviews for them because since they're, like, paid videos, but I'll just do, like, a machine overview. So if someone wants to buy it, there'll be a video of, like, what it looks like when you get it in the box, what all the menus do, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'd like to finish out some of them before the end of the year. And then I do my own welding gloves too, so I deal with that a lot. I ship all the orders myself, so that takes
you're a one-man band.
Large portion of the day.
YouTube channel, you're a shipping and receiving guy.
I do quality control on the orders, gloves that come in.
Damn, how do you keep up with everything?
I don't.
You don't?
Yeah. No, I've been using, like, calendar more and stuff like that, different productivity apps to, like, track stuff, because my memory is not the greatest of, like, scheduling out something, you know, like, if I'm going to tell you I'm going to do something tomorrow, I need to write it down somewhere.
Yeah. This, like, I've found, you know, especially on the iPhone, the alarm app and my calendar app are, like, those are my 2 favorite friends right now, especially here at FabTech, because you get caught up so quick into something. I'll have an alarm set. It's like, hey, and it's like 10, 15 minutes before I need to do something. That way it gives me time to, like, close out one task and then migrate into another one. So my wife laughs at me. But that's like the coolest part of my week is on a Friday. I'll sit back, you know, and then I just start deleting all the alarms that I had for the week. And it's like, I really feel accomplished because I got a lot of shit done. But, you know, had I not set all these alarms, I'd be so far behind right now because it's like you know, you got so many different things going on. You've got, you know, you're developing products, you're, you know, packing and, you know, shipping stuff out. You know, you're doing YouTube videos, you're fabricating things. You got all this stuff going on. It's hard to, it's not like one area. You know, you can't just dive your entire focus into something. You got to be able to constantly shift gears.
When I think, too, like, when I worked in the shop, I was there, we worked from 7 to 4 usually, and then I had pit practice. But the whole time I'm there, I'm thinking, like, what I could be doing for myself, you know? And I'm sure a lot of people feel like that in welding jobs or whatever. It's like, I want to have my own shop, blah, 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 and you're using all this time. I don't think people don't realize, like, I just went full-time by myself at the beginning of this year. And I've done a few races here and there, but I don't think people realize, one, getting yourself up and being at your shop at 7 when you don't have to is a lot harder than people think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, there's a million things that you could be doing. Like, sure, someone brings in a project that you have to get done. Yeah, you have to get that done. And then say someone else brings it in. So your business is going good. You got projects lined up. But when you get done with the one, you have to, call them and get it to them. You have to invoice them. You have to have some kind of tax software set up. You have to have all your ducks in a row. It's a lot of stuff, and there's always stuff that you could be improving. You could be cleaning your shop. You could be, something could break that you're putting off. But also you got to work on this project that someone brought in. You know, like, there's always something, and there's no one to tell you which one you should be working on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no management. You're your own manager. And like you said, it is. I have noticed it's a lot harder, you know, because, like, I went full-time with the podcast plus doing, like, weld consultations and, you know, different things like that, and then fabrication projects. But that's kind of like you were saying, that's the hardest thing is, like, man, I don't want to go to the shop right now, but, like, I have to. This is for me. Sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's like you get up and you go, but, like, you get burnt out quick doing this stuff because you're wearing so many different hats. It's like, shit, I just want to I need like a day to just like decompress and, you know, like kind of relax a little bit.
And I think creative work is a little bit harder than people think it'll be too, because you have to come up with these ideas. They have to be good. You're not just building something, you know, like if you're welding on something or building something that someone tells you to build, you got to put your like artistic touch on it, but it's not like trying to come up with something for the masses that are going to enjoy.
I mean, and that's you got to try to figure out a way to, how can I deliver a product to, you know, how can I figure out what they want before they know they want to watch it?
Yeah, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like, I want someone to enjoy it, and that's why the people who do education, it's like, well, what did that person get out of it? Well, they learned something. But for me, I like to do projects, so I'm like, well, what did they get out of it? I'm like, I hope they were entertained, and then maybe they picked up some things, you know, along the way. It's kind of hard to.
That's kind of what we called it at weld.com was edutainment.
Yeah.
So it's like educating and entertaining. You try to like marry those two together to, you know, keep, you know, that retention graph up. You want to keep people engaged, keep, you know, people coming back. The clickbaity titles help, but you know, then you got to deliver on that. Like
what did you guys do for your ideas?
So we actually, when I got there was no plan. The plan was we don't have a plan, and I was like, I can't work like this because we were doing 3 videos a week.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. So like I'd come in on a Monday and they're like, hey, what do you want to shoot? Fuck, I don't know. And the same thing, like we'd shoot a video, edit, and like Todd, freaking amazing. He'd, you know, edit it and release it by 5 o'clock that night. It was insane. I don't know. He's really quick with it. And then we did the same thing on Wednesday. And it's like, damn, so I took like a Tuesday off when he was doing something else. And I had him, we printed out a big calendar. This calendar was like 6 foot by 6 foot. It's freaking massive. We called it the Destroyer. And we put it up on the wall. And, you know, we put like, you know, it's October. And then we'd fill in the month. Okay, we'd just start coming up with like a filming schedule. Today we're going to film this. And then we're going to edit it here, and then we're going to release it here. And so, like, we just started piecing stuff into, you know, that puzzle to keep us on track. And then eventually we got to a point where we were, like, kind of banking episodes. So it's like, okay, now we can sit back, we can take a deep breath, and then we can focus on, like, a fabrication build, because that takes, like we were talking about, that takes a lot longer than showing somebody how to do, like, a 3G stick test. Like that, give me the rods, give me the plate, you know, we can rip that out really quick. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing's really changing on that, but, you know, here's the technique, here's how to do it. But like the fabrication builds, you know, like when we did Sam the Cooking Guy, we were like, you know, we want to build a grill, and we watched Sam the Cooking Guy every day. So I was like, well, fuck it, let's build a grill for Sam the Cooking Guy. That'd be awesome. So we were able to put that onto the schedule, and that's just kind of, it kept us on top. And then once we got far enough ahead, we could sit down and like plan, what are some videos that we could put out? And like that was the whole thing, is like, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. You know, you got to plan this stuff out. Otherwise, if you just show up and you're like, I don't know what we're going to do, like it sends me into like a mode of anxiety and panic, trying to like, oh shit, we got 8 hours to come up with something. Okay, now we got 6 hours. Now we got 5 hours. Okay, turn the camera on. We got to film something. You know, we got to put it out, because you want to stay consistent on your schedule. I would imagine your show, like, you've got a consistent release date and time and all that stuff.
I haven't been doing very good this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest part, is like, you know, people like very similar to the podcast. You know, I had a bunch of people walk up to me today and they're like, hey man, I tune in every Monday. I listen every Monday. It's like, awesome. Now that just tells me that, hey, Monday, people expect this. So if I want to retain them, you know, as a subscriber or listener, I got to keep producing quality content for them, you know. So every Monday they're going to keep tuning in, because as soon as I don't, they're not going to tune in Monday. And if I don't put something out Monday or next Monday or the following Monday, they might not check, you know, the 4th Monday and see if there's anything out.
When I first started listening to podcasts in like 2010, 2011, they like made me the best employee ever. Because I had like such a problem, like I would do a little bit of work and then I'm going to go like wander to the bathroom, or, you know. Once I've discovered podcasts, I would just sit down and learn work. It closed off my ADD, you know what I mean? And I could just work. So I'm assuming like a lot of those people, especially if they're listening at work, and they are used to a Monday, especially if they show up for work and then they can't listen to what they want, they're just like, what? Now I got to look for
it. It throws them out like, shit, now I got to spend 45 minutes trying to find something else to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Everlast Welders. They just released the Typhoon at FabTech this year, and it's a badass TIG machine packed with all kinds of advanced features and functions, including all new industry-first waveforms. The Typhoon will be available the first quarter of 2023, so save up now so you can be first in line when the pre-orders drop. I never thought I'd want another TIG machine after I got my 255 EXT, but the Typhoon has changed my mind. I can't wait till I get my hands on one of these things. Keep checking everlastwelders.com for pre-order information. And as always, be sure to use code word ARCJunkies in the comments section at checkout when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal and get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch upgrade. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. We're also brought to you by Strong Hand Tools, makers of some of the coolest and most convenient fabrication tables and tools on the market at the most affordable prices. As if their prices weren't low enough already, they're running a sale right now through the end of the year on Build Pro tables and kits. You can get 10% off plus free shipping right now when you go to stronghandtools.com/promo. We're also brought to you by O2 Armor, the concealed nasal filtration system. These filters work great for the shop or out in the field. If you've ever worked in the field, you've no doubt been exposed to dust, dirt, debris, pollen, and all kinds of other crap you're breathing in through your nose while working on the job site. You can block all that stuff with O2 Armor so you can breathe better on the ride home. Check out these filters now and save 10% on your order when you use ARCJunkies10 at checkout on O2Armor.com. Breathe it in or block it with O2 Armor. Now let's get back into the show.
But yeah, I found out like consistency is like the key. You want to be, that's what's kind of helped me grow quite a bit, with the podcast.
Do you think you'll ever add video?
I would love to, and I've talked about it a couple times on the show. It's like you, I'm a one-man band, so like I'm just now coming to getting to a spot where I'm very comfortable with the working on the mic and getting the recording and doing the editing and all that stuff. To where I got that software kind of figured out. Now I need to focus on getting a camera, getting some editing software and all that stuff. Like I've done a couple Instagram reels or something like that with where I did some editing. And that was more along, I did an unboxing for unboxing an assembly video for a Viper chair, but I used 4 different cameras. So I used a GoPro, a DJI, my drone, and then my cell phone. So that whole thing was basically an experiment to make me go edit a video, so that eventually I could start doing a video component to that. But most of the episodes are done via Zoom, just because everybody's from all over the world. I don't know if having a computer screen and a video of me in my studio, if that would perform really well on YouTube. I think it would help get me in front of an audience.
You could do a split screen with you on each side, and then once in a while you cut to a full screen of the other person, full screen of you. You would be kind of reliant on if their webcam was trash or not. But
that's the biggest thing. And at one point I was even with the audio, I've considered boxing up a microphone, and sending it to somebody hey, I'm going to interview you in 3 weeks. Use this microphone. Here's how to set it up on your computer. Once you're done, box it up and there's already a return shipping label in there. Box it up and send it back, and just maybe buy 3 or 4 of those just so everybody's got the audio quality is consistent. I just don't know how well that would work.
I've seen it now. I feel like podcasts are getting a lot bigger on YouTube. They weren't like I told you before we started that I started some motorsports podcasts. And we would do those over just Skype audio because the audio seemed to be the best, but people didn't watch podcasts.
Yeah.
But now I feel like Joe Rogan has changed that.
He's paved the way.
Yeah, and he'll do 3-hour video podcasts,
But yeah, he's in studio with that one.
Yeah, everyone comes to him.
Yeah, but I figure events like FabTech, so I've been doing a lot more traveling recently and doing in-person podcasts. So I think with those, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to set up 2 cameras. To be able to do that, or 3 cameras, that way you can get cross table talk and then, a full view of both participants.
The nice thing is because once you start putting them on YouTube, they have a potential to be recommended to someone.
Yeah.
Where just the podcast, I feel is all word of mouth.
Yeah, it's word of mouth, and so I've got, I use a couple different podcast apps. So I'll use Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's typically where I consume podcasts.
Yeah.
They don't recommend anything.
No.
So if I type in, whatever podcast I want to listen to, okay, here's the next one. Here's the next one. So it's in a row. It's not saying, hey, if you like this one, you would also, you might like this. It doesn't recommend anything.
Yeah, they should do that.
They should. But I think that's where kind of YouTube is awesome because, if somebody's watching a video on welding, boom, you're especially a topic that they're researching. If you have a video on that and it's performed really well, YouTube's going to recommend your video to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, most likely it's not recommending the next episode on the side. It will on the video, but it'll recommend some other video.
Well, now I've noticed, because it used to do that. Like, so if I'd watch a video from like one specific YouTube channel, it would play like a next video on their playlist. Now it's like random. So like when I was watching one of your videos, like somebody's, like once that one was over, it clicked into like somebody else's topic. And I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to watch more of your videos, and it was like recommended, so I'd have to go back out and search and then, click it again.
Yeah.
So it's weird, like that whole platform keeps changing a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to click on the pop-ups on the screen to get the next video
the little
from
thumbnails.
that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different.
And then it's hard staying on top of the algorithm. Like same thing with like Instagram and TikTok. Like the algorithm for all this stuff is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like all the algorithms, like TikToks, is like, if someone watches it and they watch all the way through and they interact with it, then they like that. And then they find it feeds them something else similar. Yeah. And then as soon as they quit interacting, maybe they're done. Well, sorry, your video is not like that anymore.
Yeah. You get enough people doing that, they just close out at the same time. Yeah, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's weird how that whole system operates. And it, like, just trying to figure out the algorithm, like what's going to work, what's going to perform, how do I get this video in front of more people?
Yeah. I think people forget, too, like Apple, like, how we were talking about they should do recommendations for podcasts. They don't make any money on podcasts. Like, there's no monetization for
that's true. Yeah, I don't pay a fee to host on Apple.
And you host it. All they do is serve your RSS feed to everyone, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And it helps their ecosystem, but that's about it. It's not like YouTube. They're making a ton of money off.
Oh, yeah, they're making ridiculous money off there because of all the ad revenue they're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there almost needs to be, like, a different podcast network, like, because there's so many, like, so I have a hosting service and I'll upload my podcast to that. Well, but for those that don't, like, I've got a hosting service. I'll put it up on that hosting service, and that hosting service will disseminate my episode to like 20 or 30 different podcast platforms, because not everybody listens on the same one. So I think there should be like one central podcast hub, like a YouTube for podcasts.
I think some are trying. Like Spotify is probably the closest to that right now.
Yeah, but even they don't recommend videos or recommend like other artists or anything like that. Or like I don't get analytics back through Spotify. I get it back through my hosting service. Yeah. And analytics is big, like, because you want to know like what are people actually consuming. Because if I do a video or if I do a podcast on this specific topic and it does really well, hell, that's something that the viewer or the listeners are really interested in. I need to do more podcasts like that. Or, wow, this one didn't do so well, I need to do less like that, or don't do that again. YouTube analytics, you got to check out, there's an app called TubeBuddy. Check that out. It's definitely worth the subscription fee to look into that, because it breaks down all your analytics down to like the minute details. It's very good, but they don't have anything like that for podcasts. I wish they did.
If you ever got to a Rogan level, though, with video, then I feel like it would work really well for what you talk about, because you could put stuff up as visuals,
That's kind of what I thought about doing. Like, if I can get far enough ahead with the episodes, when we're talking about specific things, I could film, like, B-roll and, like, show that as we're, kind of do, like, an overlay as we're talking about it. But that'd be in, like, post-production editing and all that stuff. But I got to get far enough ahead. Like, I would need a team. Be like, hey, you need to pull that out of your episode, go to the garage and, like, do that and, like, put it up in there, overlay the audio.
Yep.
It's a different world, though.
Definitely.
So what else are you doing here at FabTech?
I'm doing the Fronius demo of their dynamic wire. That's today, I think. And then that's about it. I'm just going to wander around and check stuff out, try and meet some more people.
It looks like a pretty good turnout this year. Chicago last year was weird. I liked it because it was a lot smaller, so I could go out and see everything. Because like now that I'm like working the show, I don't get enough time to like go walk the show floor. Like this week, I don't have a day where I can just like, I'm going to go check out, all these different booths and stuff that I want to see. I kind of got to do it in segments, so like in between episodes or something like that, or before the show kicks off, I'll try and sneak in a little bit early and pop around and check some things out. But I like the fact that it's bigger because, last year, like a lot of the folks that I wanted to see weren't here. Like the big Lincolns and Millers and ESOBs, like all those big companies weren't here. But then again, it was kind of cool because I still got to meet up with all my friends and network and meet new people. That's kind of like the biggest thing about that. So I'm really glad that it's back and it's in person And, especially Atlanta, it's only like 6.5 hours from the house, so it wasn't bad to get up here.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go last year, because I heard some of the big companies were coming, and I was afraid. And I wasn't even necessarily because they weren't there, but I was afraid like people I wanted to meet and see weren't coming,
Yeah.
So I just didn't mess with it. But yeah, I'm glad it's back now, and I've never been to this convention center. It's definitely big enough for this. Do you know, is this bigger size than Indy?
I think Chicago's.
Chicago?
Yeah, I think Chicago's bigger.
Yeah.
But it's only in 2 halls, and they're literally right across from each other.
Yeah.
So there's like one common area, and you can go into like Hall A, and then once you're done over there, you can go into Hall B. Hall B is, like I said before, they've got like all the big heavy duty metal forming and shaping and all that type of equipment. Hall A is very similar to Hall C in Atlanta, where it's like the welding, the grinding, the fabrication, all those different aspects. But I think everybody tells me Chicago's bigger. I memean, it's hard to tell because all the signs in the booths are like 10 to 12 foot tall, and I'm like 5'8", so I can't. Yeah. You really can't see the full effect until you walk the entire show.
Yeah, that's what I'll be able to think I'll figure it out. But that's what people are saying. Chicago is bigger, but so far, just from walking from the other halls to here, it feels like this has to be bigger.
I think this is it's more spread out here in Atlanta.
Yeah. Have you ever been to PRI?
No, I keep hearing about that one.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned Indy, because I was getting confused. But that's like mostly racing, but there is a lot of fabrication stuff too, because obviously a lot of people who are, it's all kinds of racing. It's like buggies to not even that much NASCAR, because that's so confined,
Mm-hmm.
It's more dirt car, lots of dirt cars, sprint cars, everything. There's everything there. And then all the, like all the welding companies are there usually, because that all goes with fabricating on race cars. It's really cool.
Is it kind of like SEMA?
Yeah, I would say it's a mix of SEMA, but with race cars.
Okay.
And then a little bit of FabTech, that kind of stuff, and performance parts.
I'd like to get out there and check it out.
Where SEMA's more about like show cars and stuff, a lot more. I guess they have the welding companies and stuff there too, but yeah, SEMA seems like it's more about like projects people build, where PRI is more about the stuff that goes into racing.
Okay.
I'm going to have a booth there this year for my Defiant Metal gloves.
Oh, cool.
It'll be my first time. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, nice. Put them up on display?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I didn't want to do here because I just kind of wanted to come walk around, and that one felt a little bit more laid back as far as, I guess, competition-wise.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about FabTech is, like, I don't think most of the vendors they're not really selling anything. I don't know if they can. I don't know what the whole, like, I've bought shit at FabTech before. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but
yeah, you
like
can't
some
buy
of the
a
vendors.
PRI either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't think you can at SEMA either, can you?
I'm not sure.
They probably, they don't want them to be swap meets.
Yeah.
They just want it to be a show.
I do like swap meets, though.
Yeah.
You find a lot of good shit at swap meets.
Yeah.
There's one, the Flywheelers convention down there in Florida that I've been wanting to get to for the past couple of years, but like by the time I think about it and look it up, it's like, oh shit, it's already passed. But I want to check that one out because it's supposed to be like a 3-day event, and you literally need to rent a golf cart if you want to see everything, and you want to get there the first 2 days because by the 3rd day, like, all the good shit's gone.
There's one, I don't know if it's still called this, but it used to be called the Food Line Auto Fair, and they'd have it at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they'd fill like the whole infield up. And it was like a car show / swap meet. I don't know what they call it now because Food Line might not sponsor it, but that was pretty cool. There's
Albertsons.
a lot of stuff there. Yeah.
Until they get bought out.
Yeah.
Kroger.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of automotives and stuff, there was a company that reached out to me the other day. They're looking to do so I guess the premise is they want to build a full-size hot rod car, or a Hot Wheels car. So, like, I guess they're going to film it in the UK. They're looking for contestants, I guess very similar to, like, Metal Shop Masters, where they built, like, they did artwork. Well, this company or this show or whatever, they want to, like, give a group of competitors, like, here's a Hot Wheels car. Go build a full-scale, like, working version of this. And I don't know how long that would actually take, but, I guess they're going to film it over in the UK, so they're looking for people to go and check that out. So I'll give you the flyer. You might want to check that out and look at it.
I'm down.
That'd be kind of cool. Like, I'd love to watch it. She's like, you wanted to participate? And I was like, no. Like, well, I mean, obviously you have to audition, but I was like, no, that's not really my speed. And, like, I'm too busy doing other shit right now. I can't really break away.
I wonder how the elimination will work, because surely they're all going to work on one car, right?
You would think, or either that or have, like, 2 teams. Like, you guys build this one, or you guys build the same model, or you guys build this one, you build this one. Let's have a functioning race car by the end of the week or 2 weeks.
I wonder if it'll be something like more like Monster Garage, where they team up
possibly.
But they don't really eliminate anybody on there.
I don't think so. It's like just a team effort. You either win or lose.
Yeah. If it was elimination, though, that'd be interesting. How it gets like all the way down to the car's almost done, and there's just one person left.
Just one dude standing there
having to work on it. Or two, I guess it'd be two, because once there's one, they'd win. But yeah. At SEMA too, though, you've seen they have like a whole Hot Wheels section.
Oh, do they?
Like, yeah, there was. I don't remember I haven't been there in a few years, but it was. I want to say like there was 7 or 8 Hot Wheels, like full size Hot Wheels.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I want to build a big wheel.
Yeah.
I want to build an adult-sized big wheel. There's a video on YouTube of these guys that built these motorized big wheels.
The drift bikes or whatever. Yeah.
Those things are freaking
I've thought
slick.
about doing that too.
Get you like a little, I don't know, like a 5-horse motor on the back.
Yeah. And then they put like real hard tires on the back.
So they'll take like the PVC. Mm-hmm. So they'll just cut PVC and they'll deflate the wheel, slip it over there, and then reinflate it. And then so you got no rear end traction. So you just got to get up enough speed, and then you cut the wheel and let Jesus take it from there. Just spin around.
Yeah, there's all kinds of like crazy projects people build. There's a guy that Colin Farrell.
Yeah, that dude, or Ferris, or
Ferris.
Yeah, the English dude.
Yeah, and I watch his stuff, and I'm like, I feel like he's lying. Like, there's no way it's just him. Like, and he gets stuff done so fast. And he's digging a tunnel under his yard into his bunker.
He's got like a bunker in his. Yeah. I seen he just built. I think he did a drift trike without welding.
Yeah.
He built an entire drift trike with no. He's like, if you don't have a welder, that's not an excuse. You can still do it. And he showed you how to like cut and cope and drill and mechanically fasten everything together to where it would work if you don't have a welder.
He built a I don't think it's called a catapult, but it's the one, a trebuchet maybe.
Yeah.
That where it could throw cars.
Jeez.
I'm like, how are you building this stuff?
Yeah, no shit. Well, do you see the one where he's got like the, it's like a motorized swing, I think it was? You stand on it, and it just like spins around.
Puts you upside down?
Yeah.
To see if you turn inside out?
Just like hauling ass.
Because that was the thing when we were
like
kids, if you went upside down, you turned inside out. That's what everybody said.
Oh, okay.
But no one could ever actually do it on
nobody
a swing.
Nobody can get it on a swing. You can't get enough momentum.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do it that. I've seen people like get pretty hurt.
Yeah.
Get swinging hard enough, and then you just jump.
Just fly off.
That usually doesn't end well.
Yeah. So you don't have any time to wander around? You doing podcasts the whole time?
Doing So I got one more today. I'm going to be talking with Dusty James with Pacific Arc TIG Welding. Tomorrow's going to be an action-packed event because I've got doing a podcast with Ray Ripple first thing in the morning. Right after that, I'm moderating a CWI panel for AWS over in Building A. Right after that, I'm going to do some podcasts with Fronius. So I'll be in their booth from 1 to 3, and I'm closing that one out, I think, with Dabs Wellington tomorrow. And then after that, I've got a meet and greet at the AWS booth over here in Hall C. And then right after that, we got Arcs and Ales. And then Thursday, another podcast, the AWS booth. And then I think Thursday, I might just be able to, I'm going to go, typically what I did last year at FabTech was a mobile episode. So I've got like a mobile rig, and I'll kind of do like best of FabTech. And I'll hit up a bunch of the different vendors. And, for the people that can't make it to FabTech, and say, hey, here's some of the stuff that's coming out. Stay tuned for this. Check out these different companies. They got these new products coming out that are going to help you, whether you're a student, whether you're, into weld inspection or, whatever the case may be, or full-time fabricator or into structural, whatever. Just try to hit up a lot, that most people can kind of relate to.
A lot of good podcasts coming out. So how long will it take till the final FabTech podcast is released?
It depends. I gotta see exactly how many I get recorded, and then I'll probably release them on Mondays and stuff. I kind of want to set it up to where I can bank some episodes, just so I can kind of take that breath and do a little bit more planning. Like I got a huge list at the house of people that I want to get on the podcast, and so I want to start making those connections and getting it on the schedule, because like that calendar I was telling you about we did at weld.com, I've got the same thing in my studio now. So I got a calendar up, and then I'll fill the entire month. Like usually the last week of the month, I'll start filling out and populating, the next month, who all the guests are going to be, what day it's going to get recorded, what day it gets edited, what day it gets released.
Nice.
So it'll be hard to say till I get everything compiled, because I'm anticipating 7 to 9 episodes while I'm here. I don't know, I might end up getting more than that, or maybe a little bit less. So it just depends.
Yeah.
But it should be a lot of fun. The in-persons are always a lot better than, doing it via Zoom.
Yeah, and you don't have the weird delay where you're wondering if someone's going to talk. And
yeah, well, that's why I switched to Zoom. I was doing them via phone originally,
okay.
And then before I got a Zoom account, because it makes for a better conversation when you can see each other.
Uh-huh.
You know, over the phone, it's like you don't want to talk over somebody. You're not sure when they're getting ready to talk, so you kind of stay silent. And then I'm cutting out all these awkward pauses and stuff. So Zoom's definitely made it a lot more eventful.
So what was your background before Weld.com?
So I was prior to that, I was in education, but before that, I was structural steel iron worker. So I did structural steel iron work for about 10 years. Half of it union, half non-union. So I kind of worked both sides of that coin.
Yeah, so you really like the education stuff, though.
I did like the education.
This
I mean, like, this is a lot of fun. You know, I learned stuff just along with the listeners, but I really like the educational aspect, just being able. Because I didn't have a lot of these resources when I came up, when I learned how to weld. Like, I had my welding instructor, and that was kind of like it. But now, you know, in a textbook, which I didn't want to read. But now there's YouTube, there's podcasts, you know, there's meet and greets, there's all these different events and stuff you can go to and, like, learn and interact and network and, you know, listen to a podcast and, like, oh, this is a whole different, you know, part of the industry that I never knew about. Or, you know, here's a YouTube video you can watch. So it's been pretty cool, you know, going through that whole thing. But I really enjoyed the education because just being able to pass that information off to somebody else.
Yeah. What are most kids now going to school for welding? Like, what is their final step once they get out?
It depends. Like, everybody comes in for a different reason. I got, you know, some people come in, you know, like, hey, I want to do, like, welded metal art and stuff. And they end up getting into that, but they also find out that, like, hey, I got a knack for this structural, you know, application. Like, I really enjoy stick welding or flux core. And, you know, so they'll kind of get into that industry. Or, you know, some of them have had get into aerospace. We had a bunch of them that came in. They really didn't know what they wanted to do. And they ended up going to work for an aerospace company, and they're building airplanes now. I mean, obviously the company's training them. They weren't, like, well off enough once they got out and start building airplanes. But, you know, they're working for an aircraft company. So it depends. You know, I get some people that just come in, they know they want to do TIG welding, but they don't necessarily know what application they want to do. So some of them got into power systems, some of them, you know, doing architectural, ornamental things. It really depends. It's a pretty good mix of people coming through.
That's kind of with my channel. Like, obviously there's a lot of people who are doing welding or fabrication full time, and they just liked it to watch for entertainment. But, like, I always picture that I'm talking to, like, someone in their garage. I think, like, my goal has always been to, like, make metalworking more accessible like woodworking is.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like there should be more people who aren't necessarily doing it as a career. They could be doing it as a hobby, you know? And I feel like it's intimidating for people because, you know, you can, and it's a little bit different now, but you can go to Lowe's Hardware or Home Depot and buy woodworking tools.
Yep.
But the metal part just seems like people are like, oh, I can't weld, or, you know, I can stick something together, but
yeah,
you know, and they don't know. And metalworking tools are more expensive, so that's why when I started, I tried showing, like, all the stuff you can do with hand tools. Now I'm going into, like, a dilemma where I have a CNC plasma cutter, and it's like, how much do I use it? Because
not everybody has one.
Yeah, and they don't want to see that. It just makes them mad. But it's like, I always try and preface, like, you can cut this out by hand.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to.
Yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. You can cut this out by hand for, you know, until you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's why the goal is to have a CNC plasma cutter.
That's why some of my early videos took me forever, because I literally had an air compressor, and I use all pneumatic tools for pretty much everything, and was just cutting everything out. I didn't have a shear, a brake, nothing. Everything was hand cut.
But that's the cool thing about YouTube. Like you were saying, you know, with woodworking, like I got into woodworking, you know, like I watched a lot of like Katz Moses on there. You know, he does some like really cool stuff, but like I was able to go out and buy the tools and just like learn how to use these tools. Like I went through wood shop when I was in school, and like I didn't wait around at like a jigsaw and a circular saw and all that, but like I recently went out and bought planer and a router and like all this other stuff to be able to do, you know, different woodworking projects, because I kind of like to do that as a hobby. Like I do enough with wood or with metal on a daily basis. I like to switch, you know, change gears and like, okay, let me see what I can do with wood. So I went out last weekend before, I went out and bought some live edge cypress. So that should be pretty cool. So, you know, just being able, I want to build a charcuterie board for my wife, and then I want to build like a big cutting board, because like I like to smoke meat. Yeah, me too. You know, and so like I've got like this massive ass like 16-pound brisket, and I got a 12-inch cutting board.
That's the way
it's like, this sucks. Yeah. I want a 3 foot, you know, wide, or 3 foot wide, 2 foot deep, inch and a half thick freaking badass like wood cutting board. So I'm going to do that and like do the blood groove and all, or the juice groove and all that stuff around there, and make it look really nice, send it through the planer and finish it out. But that's the cool thing about YouTube. I don't have to like go to a class to learn how to do that. I can watch a couple videos on that, figure out, how to use this piece of equipment safely and do it the right way. Same thing with welding. There's a lot of people that are getting into welding that, they're not full-time welders, but they want to build cool shit in their garage.
Well, and especially if you do know how to do woodworking, there's a lot of cool stuff you can make by combining wood and metal. Like it's so much easier to build table legs out of metal than it is wood, I think. I think metal working is easier than woodworking.
I think so.
Like to get at a high level, sure, there's lots of little tricks and stuff, but wood, you can split wood. You have to glue it. You have to plane it down.
There's a lot of tricks with woodworking.
You have to stain it. You have to, it's just a lot. Like that cutting board, I've been wanting one. I asked for one for Christmas. I don't think I'm going to get one. But like I would like to build my own, but I would have to YouTube everything.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of small cutting board videos, and that's another thing. Like without YouTube, I wouldn't know, the designs where it's strips of wood and then they stain it and it looks nice. I thought you bought it like that.
Yep.
And then made it. I didn't realize people were gluing wood together.
And then it's a solid piece.
Yeah.
I was watching a guy that does 3D cutting boards, like mind-blowing 3D cutting boards. You're like, that's just 3 different colors of wood glued together in a,
to make
like a geometric shape.
Yeah.
But it's a flat, board.
Yeah.
But it looks, like it's got depth to it. I did some pretty cool stuff with it. And like, thank God we got YouTube, because now we learn how to do all kinds of different shit. Like that's how I learned how to edit, all the stuff for the show.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to learn how to, if I do incorporate a video component, I'll learn how to edit, via YouTube.
The YouTube and the internet in general can humble you pretty quick, because no matter how good you think you are too, there's always somebody better out there.
Yeah, the next video they recommend, you're like, damn, I suck.
Yeah, like that cutting board. Yeah. You could build yours and be like, this is badass.
This is fantastic. And then you see the 3D one come up and you're like, well, shit.
I'm trash.
Back to the cutting board.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man, it's been cool chatting with you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I think we'll pull the pin. I got Dusty's coming up next, and give you some time to get out there and enjoy the show.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Thanks once again for tuning into the show. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation with Justin Voss. Be sure to check out his channel on YouTube and show him some support. He's got some great content. I have some more stuff coming out soon to include bonus episodes of Weld Wednesdays with AWS, as well as a Best of FabTech episode, so be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast downloader app so you never miss an episode. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.